Alright, hi guys. Welcome back to my channel. Mark here, the Dorset Bumpkin, with another video for you. Now, I haven't done one of these in a little while. This is going to be a video today on a bit more Magic the Gathering. As you know, one of my great loves is Magic the Gathering, the trading card game. I love collecting the cards, I love the artwork, I love the mechanics of how the game plays out, and I just love the whole story as well behind the cards and the sets as they come out. Now, before I go at the outset, before I go any further, I want to say this before I go any further at the outset. I'm not an expert on Magic. Now, I only play the game casually, usually at the kitchen table with family and friends. So I'm not an expert. So this video is not about me coming on to tell you how you should play it, how you shouldn't play it, what's the best way to play it, or give you any hints and tips. I've said it before in my previous videos, but I think it's really important that I just remind you all that I'm not an expert on this, and it's not something I want to come across as an expert. I'm just sharing with you why I enjoy Magic, why I like Magic, what I like about the stories and everything to do with it. Now, if you do want to find out about how to play Magic, to learn more about how to play Magic and get some really cool tips and hints on how to play the game, then check out the professor's videos. He can be found on his website, which is Tolarian Community. Used to be Tolarian Academy, something like that. Tolarian Community Academy, something like that. Forget now off the top of my head what the place is, the site, the channel is called, but he's absolutely brilliant. He's got all kinds of tips on how to play the game, the best cards to play, the best commanders, best decks to build, and just basically how to play Magic from scratch if you're new to the game. So he's worth checking out. If you're more into background, lore and story, then I would recommend that you check out Magic Arcanum with Ryan Gomez, I believe his surname is. I've mentioned him before as well, and I'll leave a link to both of those channels at the end of the video as well, like I've done previously. Check out Ryan's channel, Magic Arcanum, because he really goes into the story behind the sets, behind the lore of Magic. Brilliant, really interesting if you're interested in that kind of thing. Now there's another channel I'd like to promote as well, which I've not promoted before, and because I've only recently signed up to it. Now, I was watching the channel during the beginning of June as the new cards were dropped or were previewed for the upcoming 2021 core set, which is coming out, I think, July the 20th, something like that. So it's literally a few weeks away. It's round about this time of year that Magic bring out a core set. It's the third release of the year, and it's just basically goes back to basics. It's designed specifically for those that are new to Magic and never played the game before, and explains what all the different mechanics of the cards are, and goes and describes how you use them and how you play the cards. Really good. Now, the guy that his channel is called Strictly Better MtG. It's something like that. Again, I'll leave a link at the end below this video of his channel as well. So if you want some great advice on the best cards that he feels are coming up in Core Set 2021, also if you want some ideas on how to build some really good decks, both budget and expensive, he's the man to go to. Great channel, really informative, so I'll leave a link to his channel as well at the end of it. Right, okay, that's it. So, and yeah, in respect of, if you like this video that I'm doing now, don't forget to leave a like at the end, and leave a comment below if you want to as well. And also, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Always great to welcome new subscribers. Now, let's get into it then. So, Magic the Gathering, it's a collectible trading card game. So, some people just collect the cards, as they do with other card games, such as Pokemon, for example. But there's those that actually play the game casually, and that's the sort of thing you do at your Friday Night Magic event at your local game store. So that is where you play those, or sometimes you just play with friends and family at home on a kitchen table. That's casual players. But also, Magic is very much played competitively around the world. There's numerous tournaments that take place around the world. There's World Championships, Pro Tours, all sorts. So for those that are more professional, and there is genuinely a whole world of professional Magic the Gathering players, and they take it really seriously, earn lots of money out of it, and they play it really well. So yeah. So it's widely loved around the world. It's got quite a global presence, and it's played either competitively or casually, depending on what your preference is. Now, there are many different ways of how you play Magic. Now, I'm not going to go into each of the formats today and talk about them. in depth. I'm just going to talk say what the formats are and try to explain what I think personally for me would be the best formats. Now it's difficult because I don't play competitively, I only play with family and friends, so I don't really know the best way to play it. But yeah, let's go through them together without wasting further ado. There are three really popular formats which are probably the most popular that are played, and that's standard, booster draft and sealed deck. Now with standard, that's the one that most people play in tournaments. It's the most well known. Now with the standard, what you do with that, you only play with the most recent sets that have been released by Magic. So it's rotational. So every autumn, the 4 oldest sets rotate out, and you just continue with the 4 most recent releases. So that happens in the autumn time. Now standard format, just to give you some bit of details about standard format. So basically, it's well, your deck has to be made up of 60 cards, which is the standard, which is the case for most formats. So you have 60 cards in your deck, and you can include 15 cards additionally as a sideboard if you want to, and in between games you can switch cards out. The rules for standard, and again which is the case for most different formats, for standard you can have no more than 4 copies of a card. The only exception to that rule are your non-basic lands, your basic lands, because you need those to generate what's called mana and to play your cards. So there's no limit on how many basic land cards you can include in your deck. Most players go between, I think, if I'm right, between 20 and 24 basic land cards. Most players go within their 60, and they don't tend to add any more in sideboard. So yeah, that's standard, and standard is played obviously usually between 2 people, 1 against 1. Now there is actually no maximum deck size in standard. 60 is the minimum, but there's no maximum deck size. The only kind of requirement is that you're able to shuffle that deck successfully. So that's standard, and that's played competitively in tours, in tournaments. That is a lot of where people earn money in standard. So that's the standard format. Now I mentioned as well there's 2 other formats that are played. Most popular is booster draft and there's sealed deck. So let's quickly look at booster draft. Now booster draft, with booster draft, what you do with that, this is quite often a good way to play at your local game store when you meet up with friends. What you do is simply this. Each person that's playing, what they do is they open up a booster pack and they pick a single card from that booster pack. You don't show your other players what you've picked, so you keep that to yourself. And then what you do, you then pass the rest of the pack to the next player on their left. And then each subsequent player picks their first card from the booster. And what you do then is you then go back around a second time and you pick a second card from the deck. On that occasion, you would then pass the deck back to right, and then you go again. You consecutively go round your players around the board, taking a card until you build your deck. Okay, and those cards that you've picked, they're what's called drafted, and they're the ones that you are going to play with. You get usually there's 3 booster packs that are opened in this round of taking cards. So it's a really fun process, especially if you're playing with new cards that maybe you've not yet played before and you're excited about that have just been released. So you should at least have about 40 cards as well, because obviously there's going to be basic lands to have that you can build up the deck with. So yeah, that's how you do booster draft. Now the next one that I want to quickly talk about is sealed deck. Now sealed deck is again very similar to booster draft way of doing things. So basically, again it's kind of exciting because if you're playing with new cards that have just been released, you can just get to experience these new cards for the first time. So and there's no requirement for you to bring your own deck to the game. So often, the fun of Magic is building your decks. There's no doubt about it. It's great fun to build your own deck, but often that deck isn't necessarily going to work. So it's best if you it's always good to do sealed deck, because you don't know what you're going to get. You can just build a deck completely at random from those cards that you're picking. So now with this, the guidelines for sealed deck format. So basically, you build your deck from 6 unopened booster packs. Okay, and again, minimum deck size 40 cards, and you can add again in as many basic lands as you possibly want to help play the cards. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like I say, it's a great way of picking up new cards, using new cards that you've not yet played for the first time, so that's quite good. And yeah, you can just go through the pack, go through your 6 packs, and you can either, chances are you'll reject a lot of the cards anyway. You'll pick a card that you like, reject another card, so on and so forth. So you're not necessarily going to use all the cards in your 6 boosters, but yeah, it's a good way. It gives you a good variety of cards to build, because with Magic the Gathering, each booster has 15 cards. So 6 cards, you're looking at a maximum of 90 cards there that you can build a deck from. And again, as I say, 40 is the minimum, and you add in as many lands and basic lands as you possibly want to the deck. And it's the same requirement is, again, you can only have 4 copies of each card. Now that doesn't mean to say you're going to get that many copies of the cards in those 6 boosters, but that will be the maximum again. But yeah, so that's booster draft. Okay, so that's those 3, as I say, those are the main most popular kind of draft formats that people play with. Now, the other basically the formats are split up between constructed and also limited. Now let's talk about limited first of all, because that's sort of like there's less. Now we've already talked about 2 of them, so booster draft and sealed deck, they come under limited. We've already talked about those briefly, so we don't need to go into them again. There's also conspiracy format, team booster draft, and team sealed deck. Now team booster draft and team sealed deck is pretty much the same thing as sealed deck and booster deck. The only difference is you're building your decks as a team, usually with 2 of your friends. So what you do is you build your decks. You build 3 decks from the cards that you've got. So for example, if you're doing booster draft, so you've got your 6 booster packs. So you are building, between the 3 of you, 3 decks of cards from those 6 boosters. And by the same token, with the booster draft, what you would do with that is you would pass the booster around between the 3 of you, and you'd each build your decks through that. Now what you do then, rather than playing against each other, you then play as a team. So you've got other people at the same event that are doing the same thing. So you and your 2 friends would be up against 3 other friends, and you do like a team kind of, I suppose in a way a bit like all these team battles that you get in your various video games. So that's what team booster and team sealed is. So very much the same as booster and sealed deck. The only difference is you're doing it with teammates, you're doing it with 2 friends, so you're building your decks together, so you have a 3-on-3 face-off battle with some other friends as well that are doing the same thing. So that's those 2. Now, conspiracy format, this is the other one in limited that's part of the limited formats. Now, conspiracy is very, very different. So you either play 3 to 5 players, 6 to 8 players, or 9 or more players. Okay. Now there's going to be 3 rounds of where you draft cards. Okay. Now each round that you do, it starts with every single player opening a booster pack. Now each player would then look through that booster pack, and they select 1 card to take from that booster pack. They then pass the remaining cards face down onto the next player. And this continues until all the cards have been selected from those booster packs. Alright? Now, it's difficult to go into now. There seems to be a lot more to conspiracy than goes. So I think what we'll do is we'll probably look at conspiracy in a separate video, because that seems to be, there's a lot more to it going on than that. So we'll look at that in a second video, and we'll go into it in greater detail and see how you play that in greater detail that in its own video. So that's conspiracy format. That's the other limited format that you can play in this game. Now I'm going to stop it there because I've already been chatting for 15 minutes and we've only covered the limited decks right now. We haven't even gone over the constructed ones. Now just to say, well, we've gone over one of them, which is standard. We've covered that already, so we wouldn't look at that again. But there are other standards, other formats as well that you play that are constructed. Now this is constructed, basically it means where you build your deck. So whereas with sealed draft, sealed deck and booster draft, you're taking cards from a booster pack that you open there and then at your event. With the constructed tournaments, you then bring your deck to the event and you go through and you play that deck. So yeah, we'll do a second video on that separately to this, because I don't want to make, otherwise this video is going to go on for a long time, because there's quite a few in constructed that we're looking at. Particularly, there's two that I really like. So let's just wrap up this video in regard to the ones we've covered. So which of those would I really like? Now, I personally, I think the whole aspect of sealed deck is great. You've got 66 booster packs to play with, which gives you, as I say, it gives you 90 cards to play with, and chances are you can build a really good deck out of those 90 cards from those 6 boosters. And in fact, if you buy pre-release kits, when you buy a pre-release kit, whenever a new set comes out, it does give you 6 boosters. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to order the Core Set 2021 pre-release kit myself in a few weeks. So what I'll do is I will do a sealed deck draft myself with that pre-release kit when it comes through, and we'll do it live, we'll do it on camera and we'll go through it together and we'll see what cards we've got from the core set, and I'll look at building a deck from that. Now yeah, so that's it for this deck. So yeah, so sealed deck is the one that I quite like the thought of, the sound of, in respect of these kind of limited formats. Now booster draft could be fun as well, because it's interesting to see what each person at the event is going to pick and what they're going to deck with, so that could be fun as well. But yeah, I've played standard, so I know how standard works. That's, as I say, that's the most common one that professionals play, and there is likely to be a lot of the same cards that are used in that, but that's the same with all of them. So yeah, that's it. So my pick for what would be my favourite of the limited formats is going to be the sealed deck. And as I say, I'll get a pre-release kit and we'll do a pre-release. We'll do a live stream of me opening that pre-release kit, and I'll build a deck with those 6 packs that I get in that and see what we come up with. Yeah, so that's it from this video. I will come back to you maybe a bit later today, maybe tomorrow, and we'll go through the constructed side of things, because that's the areas that I'm more into. I've built a lot of commander decks, I've built a lot of pauper decks, and I like pauper personally. And what we'll do with pauper, we'll probably go into that in great detail in another video, and I'll do a live stream on pauper as well, and I'll build a pauper deck on camera for that. So yeah, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave us a comment, like this video as well. If you're new to my channel, subscribe, and as I say, always welcome new subscribers. Thanks for your support, your continued support. Stay safe everybody, and I will see you soon in another video all about magic and why I love it. Take care.